Hi, it's me JD and welcome back to my channel. We're going to be doing some see-through techniques for clear cards and invitations. I've got some of my favorite transparent materials to work with. So before we begin, be sure to hit the subscribe button and we'll jump right into the first project. For this first card, I'll be working with vinyl. More specifically, craft vinyl. Craft vinyl has an adhesive backing, so depending on if you get a removable kind or a permanent kind, you can stick vinyl to a lot of different surfaces without a lot of mess. Vinyl is really popular with people who use digital cutting machines such as Cricuts or Silhouette Cameos. Today I'm showing you how to use it with your manual or electronic die cutting machine. So I'm putting the die cut side up on the pretty side of the vinyl, then I'll run this through my electronic die cutting machine. The die cutting cuts through the vinyl and the adhesive backing, so now I'm left with basically a giant vinyl sticker. One of the easiest ways to transfer your vinyl to your surface is to use this transfer tape. So I've got a clear card already scored and folded. Now I'm going to peel off the backing of this transfer tape. And what I want to do is I want to stick the pretty side of the vinyl on top of this transfer tape. Don't worry, it won't harm your vinyl at all. It's a very low tack tape. And then I'll press it down. I'll include the little dot over the eye. And now this will hold my sticker in place while I peel off the backing of the vinyl. Without the backing, vinyl is very sticky. The transfer tape makes things nice and flat and smooth to work with. And so now that my sticker is on the transfer tape, I kind of hover over my project until I like the placement. Then I'll press down on the back of the transfer tape to smooth out any air bubbles. Then I'll peel off the transfer tape and I've got a nice smooth transition to my project. So I'll just squeeze out any of the air bubbles, and for the reveal, there is little to no yucky adhesive on the inside of this card. That's why I really like working with vinyl when I'm using clear cards or a see-through element. You don't have to worry about seeing any messy adhesive through the back, or you don't have to worry about covering that up. But clear cards are not always practical. They're beautiful, but I'm going to make this a little more functional by adding a cardstock insert on the inside of the card. And so how I did that is I just put some double-sided tape on the back of the circle die cut, and then on the back of the card, I put another die cut to help cover up that adhesive. And now I have someplace to write on for my card. There's definitely a wow factor when it comes to a clear card. For another wow factor, you can make a clear shaker card panel. Since I had leftover vinyl from the previous project, I'm going to use the last scrap of it to cut out my sentiment. Then I'll use some rectangle dies to create the frames for my shaker card. It's a basic rectangular frame, but I'm going to do this twice. I'll cut out one for the front side, and then I'll repeat the process and cut out one for the back side. I'll get out some more transfer tape for my very scripty die cut. If you're interested in learning about vinyl techniques for paper crafts, stay tuned because I do have a future video that goes more in depth into using vinyl for your cards. So next I'll peel off the backing for the vinyl and get that ready to go for my shaker card panel. And before I put it on, I forgot that I didn't put the frame on the acetate. So that's what I'm doing here with some really strong double-sided tape. I'll peel off the backing after placing the double-sided tape on my frame, and then line the frame up with my acetate and stick that on very carefully. When working with acetate, I prefer to use either double-sided tape or vinyl because liquid adhesive on acetate is just a slippery mess. So case in point, I'm just putting my transfer tape right over my surface, peeling off the backing, and look, no dry time, no messiness, no sticky fingers, and it is stuck on there for good, and nope, there is no messy residue to see through the backside. Next, I'll cut out some foam for my shaker card element. I'm making a well of foam tape for all of my shaker bits to go through. Since my frame is on the skinnier side, I'm going to cut my foam tape in half and apply this to all four sides of the frame. Since acetate tends to get very, very staticky, I'm going to run over the surface where the shaker bits are going to be with an anti-static pouch. I'm using the pouch instead of the brush because I didn't want the brush to, the bristles to rub up against the acetate and scratch it. So now I'll pour all of my fun sequin bits in, then I'll peel off the backing for the shaker well. And here is my least favorite part of making a shaker card. It's the hover and pray. Actually, it's just putting the top frame on, which I did okay with, but it was crooked as usual. So I'm just gonna trim off the excess, and it's like it's never even happened. And this kind of card is perfect for those who don't know what to write in greeting cards. Literally, you just write your name or a small message on the back side of the frame and call it a day. Your recipient will still get the message with this clear shaker panel. This next clear card idea is for those who like to be extra. First, I'll work on the insert for the clear shaker box. I'm using a piece of acetate cut down to A2 size. Then I'm positioning my stamp over it, picking up the pieces, and then I'm gonna definitely use the embossing pouch here because I'll be doing some heat embossing. I think heat embossing gives the most crisp appearance of stamping versus like stays on ink, or maybe I'm just a klutz, so I don't want to ink on acetate. Once all 4 turns of my turnabout stamping is complete, I'll pour some glittery embossing powder over, shake off the excess or flick off the excess. I'll use a paintbrush in some areas. And what's great about using acetate is that you can also use a Swiffer cloth to help wipe away excess powder too. When doing heat embossing over acetate, you definitely want a thicker acetate to handle the heat, and you want to work quickly. So as soon as you see it even think about warping, you move it away and move to another spot which needs some heat, more heat. So I bet you're wondering how I'm going to make a clear box. Well, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use this envelope box that is really for holding like a set of cards and envelopes to give as a gift. But I thought, I wonder if I seal up all of the edges, it'll make a fun shaker box. So I'm going to be using some more double-sided tape to help seal the ends off this box. And then I'll peel off the backing and then try to stick this so it adheres to the edge of the box. And I'll stick my hand in there to help press down on the adhesive. And now I will put my insert that we worked on in. And I want this insert to be kind of, how do I say this? Centered in the box, so I can put sequin bits on the front side of the insert and the back side of the insert. So that way it's like a 360 view of glittery, shakery, confetti goodness. And as if this wasn't enough bling, I thought, you know what, it needs some glitter. So I got this really fun prismy glitter, and I'm gonna just pour a little bit in there, and it sticks to the side of the envelope box, which makes for a really cool effect when it hits the light. So next I'll peel up some double-sided tape for the top side of this box. And I'm like, well, how am I gonna press this down? So I ended up getting like a paintbrush and trying to wiggle it in the corner to help press down on the flap of that envelope box, which does work, but now I have a hole in the corner. So I'm pondering and pondering, how do I not spill a bunch of glitter? And a solution I found was to just seal up the edges. I mean, who's gonna care about the sides, right? The whole thing is see-through. So I'm using some thicker or wider double-sided tape that matches the width of this box perfectly. And I'll start peeling off that backing so I can lay down this really pretty silvery matte cardstock just to help frame this envelope box and to not have any sequins or glitter fall out. It's essentially a cardstock and score tape dam for this shaker box. Now, would I mail this card out? No. This would be a hand-delivered card, like you put in a gift bag, or you just present to someone, maybe in like a padded envelope or something. But I don't know if I would mail it just because of its thickness. And after wrapping up the sides and sealing it, I thought, hey, this also would make a great party favor as it stands up on its own. It's a great gift. So it does dual purpose, this clear shaker box. For a really fun save the date idea, I thought it'd be super cool to have a belly band covering an acetate panel. So first I'm going to make the belly band portion, and I'm going to draw a straight-ish line, hopefully, for my belly band. And I'm going to get out my Versamarker, I think that's what it's called, and hand letter the sentiment, since I don't seem to have a stamp that has this save the date sentiment in that size anyway. And then I'll pour some embossing powder over, and as I go to heat set it, I'm like, yeah, I don't like it. So, start over. And so this time I'm going to change up the lettering slightly and only have the word save and date in cursive, and the word the is going to be just basic. And I know to work quickly now because the Versamarker can dry quickly if you're doing hand lettering. And so with that, I'll pour the embossing powder over and dust off any excess, and then I go to heat emboss it, and I like this so much better than the first try. I'll use my paper trimmer to cut down this belly band, and so I'll save this for later. Now I'm going to ink up my acetate panel. I'm going to dust off any static with my embossing pouch, then ink up my stamp. And this is just an arbitrary date, folks. I've been there, done that. Already married. Just wanted to show you how cute of a DIY save the date this is for a future wedding. So next I'll pour some embossing powder over the top and flick off any excess. And then same as before, I'm going to heat emboss this very carefully, as I don't want to warp the acetate. With a very hot heat tool, you want to work in small sections and take it away, work in small sections, then take it away, and look at how crisp that heat embossing is. I've already folded my belly band down to size, so I'll just slip this over, and if you already have the supplies from your paper crafting, then this is a very cost-effective and cool way to create save the dates with a see-through element to it. And similar to my vellum pockets in the vellum video I did, I wanted to make an acetate pocket for your card. I will work on the insert first. I'm going to ink up my stamp in more Versamark ink, and I also wanted to do the sentiment at the same time to save on time. And then I'm going to push down on this fairly hard, since it's a new stamp and it's a large stamp. And then I'll pour some embossing powder over and flick off the top. And this is such a beautiful, beautiful stamp. I think it's going to be one of my favorites by the end of the year. Now I'm just going to melt down the powder with my heat tool. And this panel was an A2 size panel because it was in my scrap pile. So now I'm just going to trim down the sides to make it a little bit slimmer. If only it was that easy in real life. Next, I'll go in with a white colored pencil to add some details to the flowers and leaves. Then it's time to work on the acetate pouch. So I've got a really fun patterned acetate, and I'm going to score it down the middle and make this an A2 sized card pouch. I started to put score tape along the edges, but then I realized, it's gonna look cleaner if this was two separate pieces. So back to the paper trimmer. And then I realized I should probably keep my paper trimmer out because I want to cut one of the panels at a diagonal, and that will serve as kind of a fun element to take out the insert panel. And now I'll go back to finishing my acetate pouch with double-sided tape, now on all three sides. Then I will lay that front panel on top, and because the pattern is very busy, it distracts from the double-sided tape, or at least that's what I tell myself. So anyway, the insert was just a little too wide, so I trimmed it down some more, and now it's a perfect fit for this acetate pouch. And you can certainly write on the back of this insert panel for a personal message for your greeting card. And with that, I hope you got some clear card inspiration today. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to stick around for the next video.